When we left, less. Bleh.
What? Laugh with me. It's God of War 3.
I was going to say when we last left our protagonist, we got cock blocked by a sequel bait.
Yep. Yeah, that pretty much sums up how God of War 2 ended. At that point, they knew they had a franchise.
Yep.
This is
God
of
every
War
second,
was so
every
surprised.
entry, though. It's like, first episode, completely self-contained story. Second episode, we're gonna have a sequel, so who cares? A Pirates of the Caribbean, Halo, God of
Halo,
War,
yeah.
Star Wars.
The only franchises that are really immune to that are stuff like JRPGs, where every game has to be a different story anyway. So,
Unless you're Xenosaga.
Or Dot Hack, where
well,
they have like 9 games. in the series.
Xenosaga was them setting out to make a multi-entry game, which was originally their plan for Xenogears, I think. So it was more the creator trying to fulfill a vision. So that was less sequel bait and more just deliberate intent from the start.
I remember first seeing this scene, and with the music being as so elaborate as it is, I thought Kratos was actually going to break into a dance routine for a second until it was just him killing his wife and child. You know, just a little thing.
Right, so we're going through the synopsis of previous events, huh?
Because I remember God of War 3 was 2010, and
2
before
was
that,
2006.
2006, so there was a 4-year gap.
Yeah.
This was one of the most anticipated games
Yeah,
for a
I
long
was
time.
I was really looking forward to this
Yeah,
when it came
because
out.
1 was great, 2 was gameplay-wise even better. Obviously, issues story-wise, depending
Yeah,
on
but
your
then
taste.
again, I feel like a good chunk of the people playing God of War did not care even the smallest bit about the story.
That's not
So-
entirely the case.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
I'll
say
disagree
I'm not
with
gonna
that.
say the majority, but I'm gonna say a good chunk of people did
I'm
not
gonna say
care too much.
I'm gonna say not caring about the story is the wrong way to say it. Like, they're not in it for narrative excellence, obviously, but the story does lend a certain feeling to the game, and they want to see it unfold anyway, in a mindless sort of way, relatively speaking. But it's not the same thing as not caring about the story, you know?
There's
Yeah,
something. There was something appealing about God of War's overly grandiose nature that even non-video game fans were finding an error with it.
Yeah,
I think that might have-
it was like the kind of like kind of like the Gladiator and Greek movies from like the 40s and 50s, where they had
Exactly.
like those elaborate set pieces and tons of extras and.
Yeah.
I remember. I think I might have mentioned this in one of the earlier commentaries, but one of my first exposures to God of War was my dad Steve playing the game for the first time, and he would play in the living room, and my mom, big on that kind of setting and movies. She was enamored by the game. Even she never played it herself. She never did, but she loved what she was looking at, and even she was looking forward to this game when it was coming out.
I think it's a mistake to look at the old God of War games and sell them short on the setting and narrative. Well, not necessarily narrative, but you know,
The first game I think has a good narrative.
What's the right word? I'm trying to think, because it's not super pretentious. This is really pulpy bullshit, but it's good
I mean,
pulpy bullshit.
It's similar to a lot of Greek stuff where it's not the most in-depth thing, but it's grand, it's loud, it's
It's a melodrama, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not always a bad thing.
Yeah.
I should.
No.
Like, most superhero stories are melodramas, you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean people don't like them.
It's gripping in a dramatic sense, if not necessarily an intellectual sense, which I think is the reason that when Dad of Boy came along, they kind of underestimated what they had and strayed maybe too far away from it. Which isn't to say Dad of Boy's story is bad, just that it's maybe a little too different.
I would say of the 3 games, though, I would say this is probably. I don't want to say brain dead. That's probably too harsh of a word.
the
But-
most poorly written.
It's the most poorly written by virtue of nothing really matters in this plot except Kratos getting his vengeance.
It's
It's a
also
very single track plot.
There's
Well,
also
isn't that
there's
the whole
there,
plot of the series to begin with, though? Is Kratos getting his vengeance?
No, not entirely. There's a lot more going on in one than people give it credit for.
Yeah. And the prequels, obviously, because they don't have to worry about the vengeance thing just yet. Have their own stories that they deal with. But God of War 3 is pretty much like true and true a sequel to God of War 2 narratively, where it's like God of War 2 was the setup and this is the payoff, but the payoff is also like a 7 to 8 hour game.
Yeah, and it's a 7-8 hour game of a one-track focus with a lot of inconsistencies to what was established previously.
This is going to be a weird comparison to make, but when they split the seventh Harry Potter book into two movies, the result is kind of like what this game and God of War 2 together come out to, where the first half of the story is building up and building up and building up, and then there's the entire second half is just what you get out of that build up, and it's a little ridiculous.
That's probably part of the reason why I didn't really care about the first Harry Potter Deathly Hallows movie, because I thought it was one of the most boring things.
God, man, I'm distracted
I'd
by
ever
Hades.
watched.
And I was like walking next to him, like, hey, don't get too close.
Well, yeah. When the book was written, it has a slow first half and a really breakneck second half, and they kind of, made a whole movie about the slow first half. So it got a little troublesome.
So, okay, recap me on this. Hades is not Hades.
That's Hades,
Zeus is a big old dick, and
as he does.
and wants Kratos dead because he's afraid of Kratos, and
For
also
good reason.
For good reason, granted, and also wants the Titans dead because
The gods fought the Titans, and that's just what they do.
Yeah, the Titans want to overthrow Zeus.
And the other gods are teaming up with Zeus
Because what's good for Zeus is ultimately good for them for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, because like one of the first things he says in this story is like, put aside your petty grievances and all that sort of shit. We got to kill this dude, otherwise he's gonna kill us.
Basically, yeah. Mind you, he says petty grievances even though Zeus caused most of those grievances.
You fucked my wife. I fucked everybody's wife.
Whose wife didn't I fuck?
Oh, boo-hoo! I fucked your wife.
What?
You also killed my son. I killed lots of people's sons. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
And he's going to kill all of us. He's like Zeus times 1,000.
But you are Zeus.
And what do you really want, guys? Zeus times 1, me, or Zeus times 1,000?
Well, when you put it that way, it sounds entirely reasonable.
I mean, to be fair, Kratos didn't do anything to me. I'm the god of water. He just kind of left me alone.
Oh wow.
Shut up, Poseidon.
Man, sitting on the latter end of the PlayStation 4, Xbox One generation, early PlayStation 3 graphics look pretty rough.
Yeah.
No, because this was
This was
late PS3. This was 2010.
Oh,
Yeah.
mid PS3? Huh.
No,
I thought
well,
it-
no, because PS4 was what
2012.
2012? It was 2012.
Yeah, so
this
but
is
c-
technically
I
late
think-
PS3.
I'd say mid because the game had to be done before.
Right, but I still think this is one of the best looking PS3 games, though.
Generally speaking, yeah.
Are you playing the HD remaster?
This is
but-
this is the PS3 version.
Well,
Oh, it's PS3 version. Okay.
wait,
yeah.
John, every version of this game is HD, so it's just the remaster.
The
guess, what
PS4
would you
version
call it?
the PS4 version runs a bit better.
Yeah, but it was already in HD.
It was
so
already
saying
no. Ted's
in
got a point.
HD
It's already in HD.
I think it
Although
might
I
have been-
guess,
call
to
it-
be fair, calling it an HD remaster is not incorrect.
Oh no, wasn't it part of a collection with 1 and 2?
There was God of War Sagas, which took everything,
Yeah.
like, and put it into a disc. I think even the PSP game.
Yes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that the PS3 version of God of War 3 was running at 720.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 1080.
I'm pretty sure it's 1080.
If it is,
it was
it's
locked
one of
at
the-
it was locked at it was locked at 30. Though.
Yeah, well, if it is
so it
1080,
might
it's
be-
one
it
of
may
the
be
very
1080,
few
60
PS3 games that was. I can't think
Yeah,
off-
but even Xbox 360 wasn't really running a lot
No.
at 1080 either.
It-
Not
so-
much.
it happened
but there
more
were,
often
yeah, there
than
were
it does on the
games.
PS3. But
Well, hold on. We have a nice little thing called Google here. Let me type in God of War 3's native resolution.
I mean, a lot of people won't notice the difference because most bedroom-sized televisions, which is what most people are playing PS3 games on, are 720. I only notice because I'm playing on a PC monitor because I'm next-gen like that, and that means
Also, there's not a ton of difference between 1080 and 720 as far as graphical fidelity goes.
Nah, 1080 is a lot more crisp, even at this size.
Yeah, but I have to say that because I make a habit of making recordings off of like my Final Fantasy 14 raids, just for like studying and all that sort of shit. And when I have to switch 720p to 1080p, there's a difference.
Yeah, and the difference gets bigger the bigger the monitor is. So.
Well,
Yes.
that's any resolution, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so God of War 3's native resolution was 720p. It gave you an option to upscale to 1080p, but it wasn't true 1080p.
Right. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's
And
why there's the PS4.
The PS4 release was likely true 1080p.
Oh, well, this is definitely a Greek monster. Just mash two unrelated species together.
That's
Horse crab.
the word
Zeus-
chimera literally just means two things stuck together. So yeah.
Yeah, but
Also, Zeus is looking on from up high. I'd fuck that. Zeus, you
So-
fuck everything.
So, question: do we have all of our crap from the last game in this game?
For the 5 minutes before you get the
Yes,
usual end of game.
we start with it, and then
start
we
of
lose
game
it.
reset.
yeah,
Oh.
the usual taste of power.
At least it's something, right?
All right, so since this is like the last of the trilogy, well, the original trilogy anyway, like got to rank the opening bosses because it's like how God of War usually begins. The first game had the Hydra, the second game had the Colossus of Rhodes, and this has giant horse crab.
I'd say the Colossus of Rhodes is probably the best overall gameplay-wise.
I'm inclined to agree. Yes, even though this is very impressive visually.
This is visually impressive, but gameplay-wise, it's kind of the most boring one of the three.
Yeah, you smack QT.
Yeah, the Colossus of Rhodes was really effective as an opener, both because it like really underlined the setting, and because there was a level built around your encounter with this thing. It wasn't just a boss fight; it was also a level. So it really, really worked.
This is really trying to bring up the scale, though. I think it's like, look
Yeah.
at how
Yeah.
fancy we can be
Now that we're on the PS3 and all that.
HD graphics. And
Oh yeah,
whatnot.
notice.
Which is saying something because God of War was already pretty big on scale with set pieces.
Yeah,
The
but-
God of War 1 and 2 on the PS2 looked really good for its console.
It looked really
Yeah,
good.
but they're doing a lot with like the moving ground and how big everything
Yeah.
is.
And- yeah, and
whatnot.
sweeping
Now that
angles.
we're on PS3, we can get a lot more detailed with the graphics. That was the one limitation that God of Wars 1 and 2 had, was that, they had to pull their cameras back really far into these cinematic angles, mainly because the actual graphics were not great. And keeping everything at a distance allowed them to emphasize the grandeur of the overall image to disguise the fact that every individual object was kind of bleh.
Yeah, because which in God of War's case means we can still have the really big set pieces, but the NPCs don't have to look so terrible now.
Or we
Yeah.
could have actual renders on textures on the rocks.
Well, it also means
Yes.
that they can pull in close for dramatic close-up shots as well. So their range, as far as
Cinematography.
as far as cinematography and presentation and all that, it has been greatly expanded here.
Okay, so remind me, Gaia's Zeus's mom, right? Can't
No.
she just tell him to go to his room?
No.
Like,
Gaia's a Titan.
Oh,
yeah, but the Titans gave birth to the
implying
gods.
anyone in Greek mythology ever listened to their parents.
Well, there's that, but no, Gaia has nothing to do with Kratos' familial lies.
No, I'm talking
Kra-
about
Kra-
Zeus.
Oh,
I'm
Zeus.
talking about
no,
yeah,
no,
Gaia's
Kronos.
Zeus's
No,
mom.
no, Kronos is Zeus's dad.
Yeah, but isn't Gaia Zeus's mom?
I don't think we know who his mom is.
It would make sense because the whole father time, mother nature thing, but I don't.
Okay, can
actu-
Kronos tell Zeus to go to his room and think about what he's done?
The last time Kronos tried to do that, Zeus killed him.
Okay, well then he really needs to go to his room and think about what he's done now. Let's try again. Listen, I give cartoon villains so much crap about not ever trying the same plan twice because it's just like, okay, how if Captain Planet already stopped your illegal oil mining in the Amazon River, and you just like go back to it after he left, you probably wouldn't even notice that you started that back up again because heroes are stupid.
You're not wrong. Man, seeing the Titans in the background during this level really is a breathtaking thing.
Mount Olympus, that way.
Oh, dude, I love that movie.
I
know that a lot of people don't think that Hercules is a good movie, and it probably isn't a good movie.
It is.
It has
But I
lots of
still
good,
love that movie.
It has lots of
It
good
has
parts.
issues.
It has lots of good parts, but the parts that aren't good are really bad.
The thing is, it's a lot more glaring when something as well known to the public consciousness as Greek mythology gets Disneyfied. Because it's like, okay, yeah, you Disneyfied a goddamn fairy tale. Nobody reads those things anymore. So, but like everyone knows that Zeus is an adultering asshole, and everyone knows that Hera is basically the worst bitch on the planet. So when you get these like
Everyone knows
smiley,
the gods are petty as shit and will do anything to sabotage each other.
you get these smiley, happy Greek gods. It's just like, what? No.
You make Hades a bad guy, even though he's like probably the most chill one of the bunch.
Well, I mean, he kidnapped someone to have be his wife, which is a little sketch.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything to her. He just
It's a
wanted
little
to
sketch.
Listen, just because he's better than Zeus doesn't make him good. Though.
comparatively speaking, he is.
I mean,
And again, kidnapping that one girl is like the only thing he did, and that
Well-
wasn't even to like screw her or anything. He just wanted to sit down and like have tea and shit.
You want to talk?
as I recall, Persephone actually like got into her role as Queen of the Underworld relatively well. So,
Well, if I remember correctly, she was like depressed for a bit, and then Hades is like, "Hey, want a pomegranate?" And she's like, "Okay, sure." And then he's like, "Haha! Now you're stuck here." And when she gets to go home, and that's why there's spring and summer, because oh god, Demeter, that's her name, is like, "Yay, my daughter's home." And then when she goes back to the underworld, she's like, "No, my daughter's gone." And then, oh man, this was the era of video games where everybody bled grape jelly. Sorry, that was off topic, but video game blood, especially around this time, just okay. So like the blood splatter on the floor, I think looks fine for the time, but like when you see like the really goopy stuff, it's just like that is absolutely jelly. That is
It's normally the
not-
bigger enemies like bleed jelly.
Yeah.
But in one detail that I know they were really kind of hammering in while the game was in development, I know it's the other part, but the blood actually sticks to Kratos.
Yeah,
like for a considerable amount of time.
and their gut physics and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty gruesome. And Mortal Kombat was like, huh. This is like just
Wel-
I did that 10 years ago.
welcome to 1992, bitch. Yeah, but we'll see you all for the next part of God of War 3.